Robots or workers? The Two Business Guys Mastermind on when to use software and when to use someone. Enjoy. This business podcast, the Two Business Guys Mastermind, uncovers for you secrets and share tips and tricks to entrepreneurship as they mastermind on how to have startup, operational, and overall business success so that you can go on to get better results. Enjoy. Well, in this episode, everybody, we want to talk a little bit about a lot of things, right? Because we're going to just, make it happen. But here's one of the things that's been kind of on my mind. and it could be game-changing stuff, everybody. So, Rob, here it is, man. Software versus someone, robots versus workers.
Ooh, I like this.
And I'll tell you where I'm going with this. Because, man, it's like, I wonder what people were thinking, executives were thinking when they saw, like you got Blockbuster, right? And they're like, oh, hey, we're doing our thing. And then somebody says, who is this Netflix? Who are those? Who are those people? Right. And they says, well, this is more streamlined. This is digital. Or Kodak. And he says, well, we have this process. We have this thing that we do. We've been doing it for we're making just a goo gobs of money. What is this stuff called digital?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you see that there's technology on the horizon. And I wonder, Rob, do you start asking questions? And this is where I'm at, right? You start asking questions like, why am I doing this other stuff when this is coming fast? So do you jump on the train? Like in this case, software versus someone. Right now, the software is just, and Andreessen said it's eating the world. But we were kind of like, yeah, but how long can we eat off stuff? And now with, man, look, GPT-3, the ability to, robots to write for you. One of the last bastions of hope people had always said was, well, it can't do art stuff until it could. Right? We got artificial intelligence doing whole rap songs now and getting signed.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it was a big controversy, but still.
Yeah, it was a controversy because he was too authentic.
He was too authentic. Right. So they were like, hey, we can't have so then people start asking, who the hell programmed this?
That's the whole key.
But then we had I just read about this one. Have you heard about this one? I heard about this one where an AI program, let me look over here by the computer. An AI program won a contest, an art contest. And people were all upset. Oh my gosh, how did that happen and all that kind of stuff? So now he's seeing art, the very thing that it says, oh, but this is creative. It'll never take over creative. It'll crunch numbers. So I'm serious, man. Software or someone. I'm at that precipice where as the more I dig into Web3 stuff, the more I start to get into NFTs and all that kind of stuff, man, and on-chain technology. I'm literally asking questions.
Yeah.
Of everything, legacy stuff.
Yeah.
What do we do, Rob? What's happening?
It makes perfect sense. I think the thing that people, if you look at history from the lens of right now, then stuff seems, like, oh, it's changing fast. Oh my God. But if you look at history from the lens of thousands of years of history, you see patterns, right? And one of the patterns that you see is business is a cycle of, I figured out a way to do something repetitively and get consistent results. Once I figure that out, it takes genius to figure that out. But once I figure that out, I can hire people who are not geniuses to do that thing over and over and over and over and over again. The part of this equation that we're talking about that can get that AI can come into is the part that is the non-genius part, has always been the part that is the non-genius part, right? And even when we talk about creating rap songs and all the rest of that, again, creating rap songs creating any type of
Right.
songs that are in a popular genre is a formula. That's what A&R is all about,
Yeah.
right? Artist development. That's what it's all about. They've been doing this. Remember, I'll take you back. You'll remember this. There was a group that was amazing. That group was called New Edition. They were produced
Candy
by,
girl.
right? They were produced by one Maurice Starr.
Yes, I remember, and he produced quite a few boy bands.
You'll see my point in just a second. They had a falling out. He said, "That's all right. I'm gonna go get me a white group and do even more." And then you heard of another group that came out shortly thereafter that took the world by storm, and their name was New Kids on the Block. And then that formula, the same formula that Maurice White used, Maurice Starr used, right? Maurice White's Earth, Wind, Fire. Maurice Starr, the same formula he used, they went and said, somebody else said, I can do that formula. And they said, Backstreet Boys and NSYNC. Most people don't realize that Backstreet Boys and NSYNC were actually produced by the same people.
Yeah. Yeah. So now we're faced with AI. And let me tell you, I'm using some AI, right? And it's scary good. And what's really funny is, Google is doing some things right now. If you notice that Google just did what they call helpful content, what they call another update, right? And typically in the content space, which I am, anytime Google does an update, it just messes people money up. It just does, because if your content was out there ranking because of articles you've written, and the update comes, sometimes it throws that
algorithm
ranking off. Therefore, it throws your money off because you don't rank high enough, and then people don't see your stuff, and then all the stuff you have on your pages, blah 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 blah. Right. So this new update, people are all upset about. I'm less upset about it because I hadn't dipped my toe too far into the AI writing tools, but people that had once some of these AI writing tools were so darn good, man, you could literally prompt them with a sentence and it'll finish. Right. In fact, I got one now that does that, but I used it as a ideation tool, whereas some people were using it as just a straight write article. So here they, threw a whole site up just to rank. And now Google is saying any sites are up that are just to rank, they're gonna get popped. So you got all these people, you make money off these sites, right? So you may have, let's assume that you've got 10 sites, and you're making $2,000 each because you got the AI working, or you got people using the AI, and it just blah, blah, blah. Google is gonna ding those sites. So now your 30 G's a month, or whatever it is, 20, 30 G's a month could go to 0. Right. So is there, man, I guess the big question that I have, man, is at what point do we look at what's coming as an entrepreneur? Look at the mess we're doing. Right. Again, VHS versus digital. Right now,
right.
Tarantino, he's the only one, one of the producers and directors that says I'll never go digital. He's kind of like on the fringe.
He's the eclectic, right?
Right. Yeah. So he's the eclectic one. What should we do? I'm kind of going. I'm going all, man. I'm going all in.
And I would never recommend anybody go all in on anything.
All in.
Right. And the reason I would never recommend, I'll give you my Ray Dalio advice. Right. Here's what Ray Dalio talked about in his book Principles. And for those of you all that don't know, Ray Dalio is Principles. Right. Ray Dalio is one of the richest hedge fund managers in the world, and his company owns or manages the money of billionaires and important people all over the world. Right.
A lot of people, y'all. Ray Dalio is the deal. So he
Exactly.
comes out with
Right.
this book
Like
called
I think
Principles.
you got to have like $100 million net worth just to
Yeah,
get
just to even
into
mess
the
with him. Yeah.
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 So, but he comes out with the book Principles, and one of the things he talks about is the reason why people mess up so often is because they try to beat the market. It's like you don't beat the market. It's like trying to beat the ocean, right? Like you don't.
I'm gonna beat the sun.
Right? Like you
I
just
am now the sun. No, your
exactly
son
no.
says, I will
Right.
burn your ass up.
Exactly, right? You figure out how to work with it. And in understanding how the market works, the market has ebbs and flows, and there's 4 different categories. And he goes into it. If you really want to get deep into it, go read the book Principles, and it'll help you. To really understand this. But basically, what he says is you need to be balanced and you need to understand how to balance yourself and to be able to say, the market's doing this, so I need to do this. The market's doing that, so I need to do that. And so that you can react and be in the appropriate space that you need to be in. And I say the same thing with AI, with tech, with all the rest of this. In entrepreneurship, and I remember it's back when I was in law school, we took this class. It was an intercession class, and it was representing the entrepreneurial startup. And it was
That was a minute ago, right? I
yeah,
mean, you're not that
this
old a
is
guy, but
2000,
still.
it's 2011, right? And so one of the guys that came in to, because we had some guest speakers, we had hedge fund managers and people that had started, successful companies that came in. One of the groups that came in to speak with us, the guy had created, he was the guy that created Sparks Notes. He created that when he was in college.
Sparks Notes, wow.
Yep, and then sold that, and this is a rival to Cliff Notes, right? It was a digital version, all the
Oh
rest of
yeah,
that.
yeah, I remember those.
And then he had what else did he do? He did he created okcupid.com.
Oh,
And they had just sold okcupid.com before he came to talk to us. They had just sold
immediately profitable
okcupid.com
when he
for
started
$50
that.
million to
Yeah,
match.com, right?
yeah.
And so the whole idea is when you are when you are in business, this is what he said. He said, whenever we go into any business, one of the things that we look at are these 3 questions. Can I do it cheaper? Can I do it faster? Can I do it better?
Cheaper, faster, better. Well, aren't companies always asking themselves that same thing? Entrepreneurs,
They should be,
are you
but a
asking
lot of
yourself
people
this?
aren't asking themselves, can I do it cheaper, faster, or better? Right. And a lot of times they're asking themselves one of those questions. They're asking, can I do it cheaper? That's what most companies are asking themselves. And the reason why that you struggle with that is because doing it cheaper may not be what the customer wants. You may be fighting for the margins where there's thin margins. But if you can do it faster, you can increase market share by 15%. Because the reason that people aren't doing the thing is because it takes too long.
That's Amazon, right? Hey, I remember reading an article about them, and they said we're attacking people's margins. They said if you got a fat margin, we've got an opportunity.
Exactly. And it wasn't because they were going to do it cheaper than you. They were going to take your customers because of something else, and then they were going to do it cheaper than you.
Speed was one of the big deals.
That's
and
the key.
People were like, I like it. I bought some pens the other day, and they were there by the end of the day.
And that's the
spooky.
Key. That's the key. It's better, right? Because remember when e-commerce first started, it was 2 weeks to get stuff.
Yeah.
And then they didn't even people was doing just regular USPS. It wasn't even no tracking or no priority mail, nothing. It was just regular mail. You didn't know where your stuff was. They didn't know where your stuff was. You call them back and forth, right? That experience soured a lot of people to e-commerce and buying stuff online.
Right. Yeah.
Right. There's still some businesses today that are doing their business that way.
I have, one of my on the ground businesses, because y'all know I'm a digital guy, right? So it is frustrating because one of the things I'm faced with now is if someone orders online, if they order online, we got to decide, are we going to have our driver get it to them, and the driver goes on certain days, right? We got to do that to keep the price points right and make sure that their truck is filled up, whatever. Or can I just roll it over to FedEx, drop it on FedEx, and they get it in a couple of days?
That's the key. And you all are working through your distribution network and channel. Amazon had already done that because they had been selling books for 20 years before they ever tried to sell any of the other stuff.
So in
Like
other words, they got practiced.
exactly. And so they were able, and I was just having a conversation about this the other day, right? Because one of the things that people struggle with is they don't understand that, right? I was talking to a group of lean practitioners. So, people that go into companies and help
Oh
them to
yeah, I
lean
know
up their
lean people.
processes
Yeah.
and structures. And so we were talking and I was explaining this very fact, right? A lot of times people talk to generalists about how to get better and they take best practice from generalists. But the key is you want to go get a specialist that does that one thing that you're trying to
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
all day, every day, because
Yeah.
they're going to know all the tips, tricks, and little shortcuts and all the rest of that your generalist friends will never have thought about because they never put that much time and energy into that one thing. Right. When I go into a company, the reason that I can go in and teach them about leadership and change things so quickly is because of the fact that I eat, sleep, leadership all day, every day. Whereas they're trying to do a whole bunch of different things. They're trying to figure out supply chain management, and they're trying to figure out operations management, and they're trying to figure out all these different things all day. So they've got all this stuff going on in their heads. I can focus on leadership, and so therefore I see the connections in leadership. I see where leadership is the reason why this isn't working. I see why communication is the reason why this isn't working. I see those things that they can't see. Right. And so I can come in and boom, here you go. This is why this is where the problem is.
So I'm reading this. Literally just got an email today. I'm looking at my other computer, y'all. So it's over here. I get a ton of newsletters, right? And I subscribe to a few. But the point is that I collect enough pieces of information from the emails that I get. So anyway, here was the big thing: advice for founders who have too many ideas. Right. So companies, Rob, we could probably make a whole cottage industry out of helping entrepreneurs with too many ideas. Right? Streamline it. I think from here's the leadership perspective. I'm like, maybe here's the bundle perspective, how to here's how this is what you do with an idea. You put it out there and see if it can go against the Mike Tysons of the world. Right? So it is very curious. So that's one of the things you can do. And then on something that you like to say is just, do we even have to do this at all?
Exactly.
Right? I got a thing called, a thing that I've been adopting lately: delegate, automate, and outsource. Right? So DAO. And then Rob says, well, what about eliminate? I was like, ooh, that's pretty good. So instead of putting it at the end because it didn't sound too good, I said, what about EDAO? Eliminate first. Boom. Micah Hyatt talks a lot about this. Eliminate, delegate, automate. And now I just added the outsource.
Yeah.
Right. So eliminate. So this is what I'm curious about. Now, if software, man, I'm telling you, man, I got a software right now that I can literally plan out a whole year worth of posts. Right, a year. Just boom, right? And it will also tell me what my competition's out there doing too.
Nice.
And we're not talking about for thousands of dollars a month. We're talking, reasonable. So that becomes, oh my gosh, do I get a person? Because guess what? I had a person in mind to handle my social media. Not any longer.
Right. And a lot of people, the thing about it, and where you will always get pushback from me is it's not an either or. Because here's the reality, right? And when you look at, I want you to don't look at small business owners, look at the billionaires and how they run their businesses. This is one of the things that I learned trying to do it the other way, right? Like, because I'm really good at leading people and helping people to get good at stuff. But
that's a lens, my guy.
Exactly, right. But what I would try to do is I would try to lead people because I'm so good, right? And because I had that lens, because I'm so good at helping people to be really good at what they do, I would try to just take anybody that had an interest in something and have them be who I needed them to be. And what I realized was it was asking too much of people that didn't have the skill set to do that thing, right? And so, and then I went and I tried the software route and just I'll do the software. But here's the interesting thing. Again, you still need somebody to manage the software, even if the software does all the work. The key is who's watching
who's going to program that software? Who's going to
make
that
sure
Sunday?
Right? Or who's going to make sure that the software is actually getting to the KPIs that you want it to get to, right? All of that type of stuff. There's still a management component to any job that you can outsource. And if you're not willing to do the management component, which is generally why you hire people so that you can just manage the person instead of managing the work, then you still are going to wind up having a person that's going to need to manage the software, and then you manage the person.
That's a good. I got somebody on my email, Mark, and it's going very, very well. Right. Yeah. Put it like this: one email we sent out just the other day to a sample of the list. One email. This is real talk. $1,000. One email.
That's what we're talking about, right?
And I'm not going to. I was bragging on with a group of folks because they were like, we don't know if we believe in this stuff, this email marketing. And I was like, I'm telling you guys. So to your point, I had a person. I said, listen, I don't want to get in the way of this. So I hired a person to do the email marketing. You push one button. And they were like sending me stuff. Hey, take a look at this, approve it. I was like, nope, I'm not doing that. I says it either lives or die with the decision you just made. Right. So because I don't want to be the bottleneck. In other words, the person, step out.
Right.
Let the thing and a person, the software and a person do what it did. And man, oh man. So I'm double and tripling down.
Exactly.
The margin on that.
That's the key. And so going back to the original point that we talked about in the beginning. I know. Going back to the original part we talked about in the beginning, is it, one or the other? Is it digital? Is it software? Is it person? It's both.
Could be.
Right.
So nothing's binary, in other words.
Right. Because here's the beauty of it. The software allows the person to do their job better, but eliminating the person gives you another job back. The software doesn't do the entire job, right? And that's what so many people don't realize. Even if it's flipping burgers, right? You eliminate the person flipping burgers. You didn't eliminate the assistant manager.
I like that.
You just made the assistant manager's job easier.
Yeah. Because there's software that'll do that now too. And this is what, I'm thinking about. I'm looking at all of these different industries, right? And there's one that I missed it. I was supposed to invest in it, but I missed it by a couple of weeks. And it was basically a piece of vending machine. Inside, there's a robot that builds your pizza, right? They raised a goo gob of money because people say instead of having this pizzeria, we're going to have this thing, right? And it was pretty decent. I mean, they must have raised, man, I don't know, $50 million. I could be wrong on the number, but so that's one aspect of it, right? And then another one, Miso, I think it's Miso. They got the robot arm, so that's the burger flipper, right? And to your point, they had one person in the store just kind of watching the burger flipper, right, making sure it didn't get burned up or whatever. Elon Musk, of course, has the cars. He tried to go all robot, remember, and
you
couldn't get nothing done.
Right. And the whole idea about it is, right, like, and this is what leadership messes up so often when I go into manufacturing companies all the time, right? And they think that it's just, right, so many people think that it's just somebody standing there doing the same job over and over and over again. It's like, no, it's somebody standing there making sure that the machines are working, making sure that the stuff is there, making sure, like, there's so much checking the system that takes place. Now, if you can make that easier, if you can streamline that, you can reduce how many people are necessary, but you can't reduce the fact that checking the system is still necessary. You have to give, once you have AI, once you have robots that are able to, like, think Star Wars, right? You got protocol droids, and once you have AI that are able to actually solve problems.
Sentient. Well, you see what Google did? They ran that guy out of there saying that there was some AI that was alive.
Man,
And
all that,
now I
yeah,
want
all the
us to
sentient
mark
stuff. Like
this,
I ain't worried about. Like
mark this
again,
in history though. We
yeah,
got a guy that says this thing reacted as if it had feelings.
Right. Now, here's the
And they
key.
said, get out.
Right. Here's the key with all of that, right? Like, because this is the funniest thing that I think
I'm
that
gonna
people
keep a
don't
track of that
realize
guy.
because of Terminator and all this other type of stuff, right? The thing that people don't realize with that is, and if you watch Matrix, you can see a little bit like the Wachowski brothers,
Yeah,
sisters.
yeah.
I don't know how they
Yeah,
call
they're
themselves now.
sisters now.
Um, but the way that they wrote that in that space, and you see the interfighting with the machines.
Yeah.
Because here's the whole point. Why do people think that machines are somehow going to do sentientness differently than all the other sentient beings on the planet?
Correct. Because somebody programmed them, and we see how we do. We
Right.
fight wars. We go to war over blah blah
Exactly.
blah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And it ain't just us. I mean, you go down, you look at dogs, you look at cats, you look anything that you think is sentient. You look at ants, you look at like everybody's like ants are so orderly. Like people don't pay attention to the fact that ants will kill the queen and all the rest of this type of stuff. And there are mutinies and there are all this type of stuff that happens in all these communities, right? And
that's funny.
right. And so this whole concept of right when we get into the AI and we get into all the rest, that's why I say like people jump to the end without understanding how we're going to have to get there. And so when we're looking at this from an entrepreneurship perspective, how can you use this to make your business better?
Right. And
It's
this
to
is where,
remember what your business is all about. Your business is all about getting value to the customer in the most effective, efficient, and profitable way possible.
yeah. Right. So I wonder then with that in mind, as you know, you guys are listening in, everyone's listening in. Um, it doesn't have to be a binary decision either or. The question becomes, can you be the, person that supplies the shovels? Can you be the person that supplies the connection, be the bridge? And see, that's where I'm thinking right now. It's like, okay, we've got all this stuff available to us. Who's going to be the person that, and I'll just get back to what we originally talked about, content, right? Is there and I'm spinning up something, as we speak.
Mm-hmm.
Can I be the content that speaks to Web3 type things? I literally wrote some stuff down. I don't know where my notes are, but Web3 and now what? Now what to do? How to monetize it? Because I'm the monetize your life guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like that becomes let me give you a shovel or an idea that you can then advantage yourself because of the software.
And that's a great analogy you just made there. I want to dig into that analogy a little bit because so many people, you're exactly right, right? The gold rush, right? San Francisco 49ers are named after the gold rushing 49ers that went out to California looking for gold. Now, here's the interesting thing. Gold wasn't new, A. Money wasn't new, B. But this opportunity to get money in this way and to get specifically gold in this way was new to everybody that was experiencing it. They had never experienced gold and the opportunity to get rich so quickly in history. At least in the known history, right? In the known history of those people at that time. But interestingly enough, the people who actually got rich during that time were not the people who were going to try to get gold, right? Proportionally, there were some of those people that got rich doing that, but the people who consistently got rich and got rich in a per capita number way higher than they should have were the people that were selling them shovels. Have you ever heard of this guy named Levi Strauss?
Yeah.
Jeans.
So clothing,
and all the things that they needed to go do what they were doing. Those are the people that got rich because everybody that was trying to get rich needed this stuff. Only some of the people that was trying to get rich actually got rich.
See, and that gives me an idea. I'm literally
Bless you.
looking at something up on my wall. I like to keep notes and stuff all around as prompts, right? So this is the guy says the gold, the map, the shovel, the guide. And then he talks about He says, show people all four, and literally show people all four, and you'll grow a multi-million-dollar business. So think about this, everyone. Show them the gold. And I remember listening to this guy talk. I think it was Perry Belcher talked about this. He says, okay, show them the gold. In other words, it's kind of like what Rob and I will do. We'll say, hey, there's $30,000 more in your business, or there's a 30% increase, or there's a 50% increase. And they go, really? And they go, well, we're doing everything we can. We go, well, we're outside, we see 30% increase. We show them the gold. And then we say something like, here's here's how to get there. We sell them the map. Right now, think about this for a minute. And this is how I think it was Perry that did this, and I was like fascinated by it, so much so that I put it on one of my little notes. Show them the goal. Now think about your business right now. If you're thinking about your business, what do you have? That's the goal. Now you're saying, okay, here's the map to get there. You go retail spot. Hey, here I sell juice. Here it is. Come on and get it. It's in this little spot. It's convenient for you both. Right. And then the shovel. So to Rob's point, the people that got rich were the people that were selling stuff to get to the gold. First, they got to recognize the gold, Rob. They got to see it. Then you go, hey, I got this map. You interested? Yeah, heck yeah. Boom, give me that. And then he says, well, when you get there, you're going to dig with your hands? Well, that's not going to be efficient. Well, here's a shovel. And then the last thing, and I see this, it's almost like today, I see it even more clearly, right? He says, do you know where you're going to get to the goal? I know you have a map, but
right. Do you know how to get there and how to make it happen, how to dig well,
sell
how
those
to do all
four things.
Yep. Yep.
So now, as we talk about this stuff, this is why we love doing this podcast, right? It's because when we're masterminding on things, right? Sometimes we're working through stuff ourselves, right? We're like, we need to increase our money. This is, I'm trying to balance stuff. This is some mess. And then we come across something that clicks for us. We go, wait a minute. And now we think of AI. How can I automate the showing of the gold, the map, the shovel, the guide? And now you're going, oh my gosh. And then you start asking, am I the person to build that? So I need to go get somebody. So it's to Rob's point. You got the software. So now, and Rob, we talk about this a lot, right? We were looking at one of the sites that I have built up, and it was getting traffic that I was like, why is this darn thing getting traffic? I hadn't been doing anything. And it's not a great site or anything like that. But, it was just something I put up to, do a thing at a time and forgot to take it down. It was getting traffic. And I was like, what is happening? Well, because there's buy buttons out there, or there's places where people can go to get more information. It happened to be lighting up. Now, imagine if we did that in a more purposeful way. So we then used our software to get people over to the site that shows them the gold, the map, the shovel. And then we ask, would you like us to be your guys?
There you go. There you
go. And that's your whole business model right there, y'all.
Right. That's the whole thing. And really, right. Again, it's business. That's what business is, right? At the end of the day, people have a particular want, desire, need. It's over here. Now, you can decide to specialize in just showing them where to look.
Right.
There's value in just showing people that something exists. That's what motivational speakers do. That's what, empowerment speakers do. That's what life coaches are all about. Most of what they're doing is just showing you that something exists. And they go all over the world.
There's gold in you.
Exactly, right? Right? They go all over the world just doing there is gold in you.
Is it that simple? Are we making it? Did we just crack a code right now in the comments? Right? No matter how you have in the comments, did we just crack a code?
There you go.
And did you see it? So Rob, motivational speakers,
motivational
gold in
right,
you.
Right. If you look at that, like that's the whole idea, is just pointing you to the thing. Strategists are another group, right? Like they do this. It's like, here, this is what other companies are doing. This is what's possible in your industry. This is what's there. Now, if you want me to show you how to get there. If you want me to help you, that's a different package, right? And so then the second thing is, like you said, a map. Here's my system here's the 5 steps, right? I wrote a book that's literally a map. Thriving in Chaos is here's the 5 steps to mastering your time, right? It shows you the goal and it says follow these steps and you'll get there, right? Now, there's the other side that is, oh, you need a shovel. You need some stuff to help you get there. Oh, maybe you need this software. Maybe you need this template. Maybe you need this document. Maybe you need it, right? How many freebies are out there that's exactly what they do? They give you they give you the goal. They give you the idea that there's a map to get there, and they say, hey, here's this document that'll do this one thing for you, right?
And then hire I'm sitting
hire
over
me
here
if you want to get there faster.
About to explode with getting this simply because just simplify down to that level. All that you do, are you showing them the goal?
Right.
Where they go, oh my gosh. And then at some point we got to convince them that we're the right guide. But if we're showing up and nobody else is, well.
Right. And my thing is, I want to be clear. There are businesses that just specialize in each of the 4.
Yeah.
They don't do cross-pollination. They just do, here's the gold. Here's the gold. Here's the gold. There's gold and them are heels, right? That's all they do. There's other businesses that all they do is here's how you get to the goal. Here's the map. Here's the map. Here's the map. There's other businesses just sell the dynamite, just sell the shovels, just sell the jeans, right? That's all they do.
Right.
You ask them, how do you get to the goal? I don't know. You need to go talk to that dude over there, right? You ask them, what is gold? I don't know. It's shiny stuff, but that guy over there, he understands metallurgy and he understands exactly what it is and why it's valuable, right? They just sell shovels. Then there's other people that are guys that are like, I've actually gone and gotten the gold. I know how to get there, and I'll take you there. Now, what so many of us see is that you have to be the guide. Don't fall into that trap, because what happens when people do that, especially beginning entrepreneurs, what happens when you do that, when you feel like you have to be the guide, is that you start trying to act like you've been there when you haven't been there, right? This is one of the biggest things that I struggled with when I first started my business, because I had run multi-million-dollar organizations before, but I had never built a multi-million-dollar organization. So in that space, I'm sitting there and I'm like, I don't know how to build a multi-million-dollar organization. And I couldn't distinguish between what was different between running one and building one. And so I felt like I needed to have built one in order to coach people on running one. But the reality was, no, I could guide you on how to run an organization this big already. I've done it at the highest level. Now, you ask me how to build it, I'm like, I don't know. You need to go talk to that guy that's about building your business. Like, how are we going to go from 6 figures to 7 figures? That ain't me. But I can tell you, once you got 7 figures, once you got 15 managers and 50 employees under it, I can tell you exactly how to make sure that all that runs, because I've done that before. I can guide on that, right? And similarly, now that we're in 6-figure territory, we're on our way to 7-figure territory, I can tell you from the rooter to the tutor how to build something from 0 to 6 figures.
And what's fascinating about the fact that, as you hone your skills, I was literally doing a newsletter for an organization that I work with. And I wanted to build this newsletter for them just to kind of give them a guide. Basically, hey, do it this way and do it every month, right? I'll do it for you now. You're gonna have to pay me. I'll do it for you now. But then this becomes kind of the guide. This is what we can be, I think, of value to the people you're going to be sending this out to. So, and then you notice things. So while I'm in the software that they use, I noticed that they didn't have certain things clicked. And it was affecting their deliverability rates. So now, think about companies and think about you as a business owner, entrepreneur, that you just go and figure stuff out. You see what's missing.
Yes.
So I was really curious about that. And I started thinking about, like when you go into an organization, whether you're working with somebody, what I mean, they're bringing you in as the expert to help them out within this space. Do you oftentimes come across, you go, that's not clicked. Right. And they go, oh, why didn't we have that clicked? Well, somebody didn't either know, they didn't know the value. Do you find yourself in situations like that? And when you bring it to folks, what is I want to share what I noticed a reaction is. What have you found as a reaction from when you find that thing, if you says, oh yeah, 30%, and they go, there's no way. We've been over this. We were spreadsheet geniuses over here. We're a bunch of engineers, whatever. And you go, there it is.
Mm-hmm.
How do they react?
For me, and in all honesty, I feel like that's the easy part. The easy part is pointing it out. Right. That again, that's there's gold.
So you show them the goals.
You show them the goal, right? The difference between mapping it and guiding it is here. Mapping it is there's where it is, and here's how you get there. Go have fun, right? You draw a map, but the problem with maps is that maps are a representation of the pathway.
Yeah. You give me a map, I'm not gonna know what to do.
Right. And that's the whole thing.
A map in the street, I'm like, I don't know how to drive.
Depending on how the map maker, right? Depending on how good the map maker is, that makes it easier or less easy for the map follower. But it also requires the map follower to be good at following maps. Right. So I can tell you from having been lost in the woods a number of times doing land navigation when I was in the Marine Corps. One of the most frustrating things is when you're dealing with a map that hasn't been updated in years and you realize the terrain features have changed. And so you're looking at a topographical map that says that there's a finger and a draw. And for those of y'all who don't know what that is, like a finger is a jut of land that's sticking out. It's almost like a peninsula, but not as big, right? And a draw is like a valley in between two raised spaces, right? And what happens over time, erosion and all the rest of that type of stuff, sometimes fingers turn into draws and draws turn into fingers, right? And so you'll be out there and the map says that there's supposed to be a valley right here. And you're like, I'm standing on a hill. What's going on? Right?
Where's the valley? How am I getting to the...
And in that moment, you're faced with all of these dilemmas and all of these issues. And that's what so many people run into when they just get maps. And that's why the guide is so powerful, because the guide is not walking for you. They're not doing the work for you. The guide is just walking with you. And the guide is able to say, yeah, I know that it says that there's supposed to be there. It's no longer there. That changed. This is right here. So from right here, you just want to look. This is the same thing on the map. That's the same thing on the map. Go ahead. And which one do you want to do? Right. And so to your point, when I go into companies and I say, here's the stuff, immediately the question goes, well, how do we get there?
Again, y'all got it. If you're watching this, you see me. You're seeing how giddy I am, because it just sparked so many things that you can make money from. And we got a couple more minutes. We're going to share. At least I am. I'll be giving you some stuff. But Rob, to your point, when you find it and you go, there it is. Here's what I've discovered. Sometimes companies are so embarrassed, or entrepreneurs are really so put off that they didn't see it themselves, that creates its own dynamic. It's almost like they're embarrassed that you saw something they should have seen. And now there's this weird dynamic.
Yeah. They feel judged and embarrassed. Yep.
I don't know what it is, but it could affect the relationship. So you guys, this is a whole nother podcast, navigating that part. And I think Rob talks about it in some of his leadership stuff, is when you unlock that way.
Yeah.
You then got to make sure that you deal with the personality of the person.
Yeah. That a lot of it is how do you
all I had to do was walk straight. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, how do you show the goal? And this is the key. This is one of the keys. And this is one of the reasons I think for me, why my business does well is when I show people something, I don't show them like, look how smart I am. See, I see that thing right there. You don't see it.
Right.
When I show people something, I'm like, hey, what's that over there? And they're like, what? I'm like, that kind of, and they go,
the shiny stuff.
That's and they explain to me what it is. I'm like, oh, would that be interesting to you? Would that be something that you would want to get? And they make the decision.
Brilliant. I've seen you, and I have used for myself. Right. I've seen Rob do this, and it's genius. And I know you learned it too, right? You saw a couple when I saw the things that was
nothing I do have I made up. I've learned from other people that are smarter than me.
so good because that's what a guy does, right? My wife and I, we were in Thailand, and one of the highlights of having traveled to Thailand, because at first we were just there, just chilling, going to the mall. right? Taking a little tuk to the mall. And then we went to the temples and all that. We had a guy. We hired a person. And it was the best. We didn't
Exactly.
know anything. And they were pointing out stuff, man. And this guy was making peanuts. I said, so of course I'm inquiring, hey, how much do they normally pay you to show people around? Oh, for this time. I gave him that in a day, which he made in a week.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was that great of an experience. Now,
Mm-hmm.
think about what I just said, y'all.
That's the key. Can I
Somebody's
do
willing
it
to
better?
give you extra because your business showed them in such a way where they said, and like Rob said, you just point, oh well, look over there. And you go, oh, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And that was that person's job. So Rob, he
And
was
that's those
making
three
money just
questions.
doing that.
Can I do it faster? Can I do it cheaper? And the third question that so many people don't ask is, can I do it better? Most people don't even know how to define what better is. They think that better is faster or cheaper, but better can also be better quality. Better can also be more familial, more respectful, whatever the case may be, right?
Delivered in a new way.
If you eat a Chick-fil-A sandwich and you eat a
Oh,
McDonald's
here we
chicken
go with
sandwich,
Chick-fil-A.
right, exactly. If you eat a Chick-fil-A sandwich or McDonald's chicken sandwich, the quality of the sandwiches aren't that different,
Correct.
right? Like there's some subtle differences. There's not like $1 different worth of difference in there, right? But I can tell you, my pleasure and fixing everything with a smile is worth $1
Okay.
difference.
All right. I gotta go in because if you guys have ever heard me, and here is what I'm a marketer. So here's what marketing does for you, everybody. If you are ever doubting marketing, and they say we're going into a recessionary period, blah, blah, blah. All right. And I'm going to tell you, ratchet up your marketing program. Here it is. Here's why. So every time I'm talking to a Chick-fil-A person, right? They love, I love money. And I start asking them, if you guys just saw that, I start asking, I says, well, tell me about the food. Rarely is the reason they're so giddy about it. I apologize to all Chick-fil-A people out there. I get it. You got to get it.
Mm-hmm. That's the whole deal.
Rarely, if ever, is it about the food.
Mm-mm.
Now, okay, everybody that's building something and you says, this thing I'm building is better. Rarely is it going to be about the
That
food.
much better, right?
Look at that. And it's
right.
always, oh my God, when I go in there, I get such a certain.
Exactly.
So it got me thinking,
yeah.
well, it's not the food. See, me, when I would go in there, why I'm not impressed with it
It's
is
because the food
I don't
isn't
care about
much
all that
better
other
than
stuff.
anywhere else.
I want to know if when I put this food in my mouth, that my literally my taste buds start doing a dance. They start holding rallies, and they says we never want to eat anything else again. I'm looking for that, and I'm going, well,
that's not what this
that's
is.
not it. So
exactly.
I can get past all the marketing because I'm a marketer, right? So you kind of you love it, but you cut past it, right? Because you see the game.
Right.
So get this. If you're to your point, can you show it? And I'm literally, Rob, I'm writing a whole book on this right now. I'm telling you by the end of the weekend.
I love it.
Okay, I'm not gonna do that. I got too much other stuff going on. But look, Rob. So we talked about gold, the map, the shovel, the guide. Can you? And I'm looking at another one of my little sayings. It says, "Can you help people do more, faster, better with less effort?" And I don't think that's from the same person. More,
nope.
Faster, better, and with less effort.
Yep.
Show them that.
Exactly.
Multi-million-dollar business.
Exactly. And
right now,
in that space,
software, can that do that for you? Can it help
no.
you give people more? Yes, because boom, hit a button. Remember I told you, hit a button.
Made $1,000. I'm saying no intentionally to say no. The software by itself cannot do that for you.
Yeah, because it was a button pusher.
Exactly.
Faster.
Just so that we make sure that we get out of our binary. Yes. It can help you do it faster.
Better. Probably. Perhaps. Why? Because it's rope. It's something that can.
Exactly.
I can go in every single day and I can send an email, or I can have my automation send an email.
Exactly.
Now, to your point, I got to build all the things to say on that day for the email. But the point, Set it and forget it. And
Exactly.
with less effort. I just showed you. That's
Yes.
what you listen. If you're deciding between software or someone, robot or workers, right? Then you're asking that kind of question. How can my business, because I'm using, leveraging, including, making a part of, do these things for me? And then answer that question on the how, decide on if the cost versus what you're going to get matters to
Mm-hmm.
your client, and you'll find it out. The client will tell you it was about all of that, not the actual food.
Exactly. Right.
Using
And
that
and, and
analogy.
and and to be clear, let's take that analogy and extrapolate it, right? In business, they talk about once you make more than $75,000 a year, a $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 raise doesn't do the same as that same raise would do from 50,000 to 75,000.
Right.
It's not about the money in jobs. When I go into companies and I'm dealing with executives, most of the people that I'm dealing with are making north of six figures. They want their jobs to be easier. They want the camaraderie and the environment. They do not want another $10,000 bonus. That doesn't matter to them.
Whole businesses spun up. Are y'all hearing this? Whole businesses being spun up. Decide, am I going to be the gold shower, the map provider, the shovel giver, or the guide beer?
Right.
Right?
Or the guy.
Okay.
Yep.
Rob.
Yep.
I'm done.
No,
I'm
I
done. I
love it.
mean
I love
that
it. I
that
think that's
becomes it.
that's really powerful. Yeah. And to get out of the binary. You know, for me, I fight against the tyranny of the or every day because so many times we get stuck in these binary conundrums of I have to do this or do
What
this.
a great that see Rob just has no idea sometimes the stuff he drops out. If you talk to him long enough, he's dropping out. He talks so much, right? So he's so much good stuff, and he's saying so many cool things that as a marketer mind, I could barely take it, right? Because it's like, oh my god, do you just realize how much stuff you just dropped up? Finding somebody to pick it up and and place it somewhere is one
Mm-hmm.
of the keys, I think, to 8 and 9 figure business.
I love it.
So that's I'm gonna help him do that, y'all. All right,
There we
that's
go.
that's it, everybody.
All
We'll
right,
talk to you
everybody.
next time, man. And good man. Oh, power today.
Yeah, yeah.